And we continue at 2:05 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wings in Culver City.
John, first they were living in the storm drains. Now Matthew Seedorf has found the homeless living in the L.A. River.
Where are they not?
Good question.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. Well, if you've listened to this show long enough, you know that the homeless are all over the state of California. You know that what our elected leaders are telling us is not true. They're telling us that people are homeless because of the high cost of housing. And if you just open up your eyes and open up your ears, you can tell when you see them in the encampments, on the streets, the parks, the libraries, the beaches, that they are in fact severely mentally ill and or addicted to drugs. Gavin Newsom and our establishment in Sacramento, they refuse to see it that way, and therefore our programs are geared towards affordable housing and not treating the underlying cause of why these people are living on the streets or in the storm drains or the river or God knows where else. Because we won't build insane asylums to put them in, they continue to live on the streets, which means if you're a city that doesn't want it in your community, you can't fix the problem. You just have to keep them moving. And you have to keep them moving until they find a city that's willing to put up with them, and then they all end up there. In Northern California, that city is Oakland. In Southern California, that city is Los Angeles. However, we now know, thanks to police body cam footage, that that is in fact what is happening and not just a theory.
This is a wild story from Dan Noyes following the body cam of police from San Leandro as they pick up a homeless person that was loitering and drop him off 7 miles north in Oakland.
That's what I do too.
For more, here's ABC 7 in the Bay and Dan Noyes.
You're being
We're
difficult.
separate from them, right? So
You're being difficult.
Answer her questions.
San Leandro police handcuffed this homeless man at a strip mall, got into a violent struggle, and then dumped him, in their words, 7 miles away in Oakland. Officers did that even though they concluded the man had committed no crime. An internal affairs sergeant has filed a 9-page complaint with the city on this and other issues.
ABC 7 Eyewitness News I-Team reporter Dan Noyes
What's
has
the problem? If I lived in San Leandro, that's exactly what I want my tax dollars going to.
You think that it is an appropriate use of police to kick them out of the cities that don't want them and put them in the cities that do want them. We saw this, by the way, notably when someone in Burbank got picked up by the Burbank PD and was dropped off in North Hollywood.
100%. And you know what? It goes the other way, too. Because how often do you have some kid who has all kinds of problems with the law, problems with gang affiliation and the like? And what do the judges say? The judges go, you know what? I think you would be better off not being around your bad friends. So why don't you go live in Victorville? Why don't you go live in the Antelope Valley? And then they turn Victorville into a hellhole by sending all the badasses from L.A. there.
ABC 7 Eyewitness News I-Team reporter Dan Noyes has a story that you will see only on 7. Hi, Dan.
Amma and JR, I obtained that body camera video. The arresting officer left it rolling the entire time so we can follow along as she decides to dump the homeless man in Oakland.
At San Leandro Police Internal Affairs, Sergeant Mike Oliveira was going through old body camera video when he came upon this.
That's got to be an interesting job.
Oh, everyone in the department must hate you.
That is part of this story.
When he came upon this violent incident from December 2024, any use of force is supposed to be thoroughly documented by the arresting officer. This one was not. Mike Raines is Oliveira's
Okay, you're dealing with crazy people with fried brains. Every interaction that you have with them is going to be a bad one. If you filled out the forms every time you had a bad interaction with a homeless person, you'd have carpal tunnel.
That's the policy, though. If any kind of force is used, you got to fill out the form.
Okay, it's stupid Because when you allow crazy people who are schizophrenic and on fentanyl on the streets, isn't the working assumption that all of it's going to be violent?
Mike Raines is Oliveira's attorney.
When you apply force to people, you handcuff them, and that happens, you have to make sure you're making a record of it. And the best record you can make is you take them into custody, you tell them they're under arrest, you write a report, you let the DA sort it out.
See, the thing with this story is this guy was never arrested or charged with anything. They picked him up and then they dropped him off.
The thing is there's been a complete breakdown because the DAs don't charge people with crimes. Because we know that if you just put them in there, they're going to be released immediately. That's not going to solve the problem. If you're going to solve the problem of that individual in your community making life worse for everyone, you have to remove them from that community. So just send them someplace where they're happy to have them.
It all started when San Leandro safety ambassadors.
Oh, boy, they have those there, too.
The most worthless people on planet Earth. Of course, they'd make an appearance in this story.
It all started when San Leandro safety ambassadors, there on the left, tried to make 33-year-old Shaquille Coleman leave a shopping area. A clerk at the natural food store pushed an alarm button because she thought Coleman and the ambassadors were about to fight.
What do you know? The ambassadors weren't able to make the situation better.
They did not de-escalate the situation?
Nope, and then the cops had to come in. What do you know?
2 San Leandro police officers arrived.
I'm asking you, who are you? It's a lawful order. I'm asking you.
I'm a person that be around this.
Do you have ID on you?
Here, and sometimes.
Are you just going to be difficult, or can we just get through this easily?
It was no problem.
Okay, cool.
Suzanne Mann and another officer tried to...
I was just making people feel incredibly uncomfortable in this shopping center that I was loitering at.
That's what they do. That's what they do. And when they're on drugs, who knows? They're talking to themselves. They're threatening you. They're menacing, whatever.
Suzanne Mann and another officer try to handcuff Coleman so they can search him, but they can't until a third officer arrives.
Just put your hands behind your back.
None of the officers told Coleman he had committed a crime. He did have a receiving stolen property conviction in his past.
Well, who hasn't?
And he balked when they tried to put him in the police car.
Can I sit on the ground?
No, sir. No.
What are you doing, though? Come on, y'all doing? What are y'all doing?
A police...
This really feels like an episode of Cops now.
Oh, I miss that show so much.
What are you doing, though? Come on, y'all doing? What are y'all doing?
A police supervisor, Lieutenant Antoinette Turner, arrived in time to see the interaction turn violent.
Stop kicking.
Bro, stop playing with me, bro.
Stop kicking.
Bro, stop.
Get in the car.
Why would you pull my hand?
Officer Navarro...
Apparently they've pulled one of his cornrows.
Uh-oh.
Officer Navarro ripped out Coleman's braids, trying to pull him into the car.
Why would you do that to my hair, bro?
What, does he have a photo shoot coming up?
Coleman finally complied after Navarro pulled out his taser. You can see the green dot on Coleman's chest. The body cam continued to record while Officer Mann tried to figure out what to do next. She considers what San Leandro police call a green sheet, a 5150 or psychiatric hold. She even starts filling out the paperwork before realizing she doesn't have a case.
Well, shoot, I don't actually, they're saying he didn't do anything.
Mann decides she doesn't have evidence that Coleman was a danger to himself or others. So
what do you do then?
Well, see, this is the problem. When someone is clearly crazy and they're on the streets and they're creating problems, and clearly he was creating problems for those ambassadors and for the store to call 911, these are the interactions that they just have on a daily basis. This guy should be in a mental institution.
What if the ambassadors started it?
Well, a lot of them are ex-cons, so who knows? But if you have a crazy homeless person that is causing problems at a shopping center, those things happen every day. How often do you see that when you go shopping in California? I mean, I can't count the number of times I've seen incidents similar to this. And what happens is people just pretend like they're not there and hope they don't get hit.
So she comes up with another plan.
We're going to go way north and then dump him, and then we're going to go back to him.
Well, they don't call it for the city of Dumpy for nothing.
Very on brand.
Wherever you think is appropriate, I'll follow.
Man tells Officer Navarro and her supervisor, Lieutenant Turner, that she wants to dump Coleman in Oakland, but not near any BART station.
I'm telling you, this is the unofficial policy of every single city in Alameda County.
100%. And if I were on that city council, I would tell the police to keep going.
It's the same thing in Southern California. This is what Culver City does. This is what El Segundo does. This is what Burbank does. It might not be on the books, but we all know.
The alternative is just to let the homeless do what they do, which is harass people when they're pumping gas, harass people when they're leaving shopping centers, harass people when they're walking down the streets, occasionally go off and start attacking people. And then we're just supposed to pretend like it didn't happen because, oh, they're sick.
Because then he'd just come back. Or get on that and go. He doesn't have a hard history. So. No, he's just going to come back and be a problem.
They got to make sure if they dump him in Oakland, it's not anywhere near a BART station.
No, of course not.
Lieutenant, I will get him out of here. And there's no BART station. It's going to take him a while to get back from him.
Officer Mann gave Shaquille Coleman a choice: Santa Rita County Jail or a ride north to Oakland.
Which one's safer?
I don't know which one I'd take.
You want to ride up north and then you could walk off and then go figure your life out? All right, bud. North we go.
They take surface streets to 580 North, past the San Leandro city limit, past the Oakland Zoo, past Mills College. They take the MacArthur Boulevard exit to a gas station just off the highway, 7 miles from where they picked up Shaquille Coleman.
I think he said he wanted his hair.
I wonder what you're looking for when you're looking for a spot to dump a homeless guy.
I don't know, but let's just hope they didn't leave breadcrumbs.
I think he said he wanted his hair. Hold on.
Officer Navarro retrieves Coleman's braids. Officer Mann removes her pink handcuffs.
All right, sir. You can grab your stuff and take off, man.
As Shaquille Coleman gathers his belongings, her partner motions for Mann to get back in the police car.
I find this incident really disturbing, to the point where I almost didn't want to weigh in on it because it's so disturbing.
They should have dropped him off at this idiot's house.
Former SFPD commander and police practices expert Rich Correa is critical of Officer Mann's decisions, saying they could have violated Coleman's civil rights. But
Rich North Korea, I see.
But he's mostly critical of Lieutenant Turner, the supervisor who told Mann,
I'll let you do whatever you want.
I'll let you do whatever you want, she said.
You can't, in the 21st century, go to a scene as a boss and not do anything. If there's some...
Well, the boss wanted him out of there, too.
Yeah, everyone in that town did.
Support, some action you need to take, some advice, some guidance. You're not there as a passive observer. You're there to add value.
Antoinette Turner left the San Leandro Police Department this past December. I reached her by phone at BART Police, where she is now Deputy Chief in charge of the Progressive Policing and Community Engagement Bureau.
What?
Why is that even a thing?
Deputy Chief in charge of the Progressive Policing and Community Engagement Bureau.
If you're wondering why BART is broke.
There's so many problems going on right now in that area.
Turner would not answer any of my questions about her role in the incident. Through a spokesperson, Chief Angela Averett declined to be interviewed, so I met her one day after work.
This is the ultimate Dan Noyes. If you don't respond to Dan Noyes' questions, he comes to your house.
We saw that with Brian Acevedo.
And Gavin Newsom.
Your officers dumped that man up in North Oakland. Is that the way you do business here?
Well, yes, it is. Barbara Lee wants us to bring them in.
Not only would I not deny that, I would paint that on the building at City Hall.
Chief, you have to answer to the public. You realize that, right?
To follow up, I sent a detailed list of questions to the city and received a response that said, after Sergeant Oliveira's complaint last month, Chief Averett launched an independent third-party investigation that found certain personnel violated department policies and that they faced corrective action. That's news to Sergeant Oliveira. It's been 1 year since he first complained about this incident. His lawyer says Oliveira is facing repercussions.
Oh, yeah, they don't like the tattles.
Good. You know what? Nobody likes a snitch. I hope they ruin this guy's life.
He was just doing his job.
Nah. What he wanted is for that town to be taken over by the nuts and the bums. If he got his way, that's what would have happened.
I think the internal affairs officer just wanted to make sure they filed a report when they shoved this guy into Oakland.
Uh-huh.
He feels like the result has been that he's been shunned, he's been discriminated against, he's been retaliated against, and the treatment he's received within this administration.
I reached out to all the officers in this report and left messages but did not hear back. Tomorrow, I report on another controversy for Chief Everett. She was investigated for a hit and run while off duty and driving an unmarked police department Jeep.
Oh, boy. San Leandro PD's got a lot of issues.
There's a lot going on in that town.
No charges were filed in that matter, but you'll hear from the driver in the other car. That's tomorrow.
So there you go. The latest Dan Noyes piece, the body cam footage of San Leandro police officers picking up somebody in San Leandro, not arresting him, but dumping him in the city of Dumpy.
And this guy at Internal Affairs is lucky I wasn't one of his coworkers, because I would have made his life real comfortable. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Walter in Santa Clarita. Walter, hello.
Hello, John. Listening to the topic there reminded me of a story I heard years ago in Rio de Janeiro. The merchants were having trouble with the young men glue sniffers harassing the tourists, so they created a private security wink company, and all of a sudden these glue huffers were disappearing into the jungle. I'm not promoting that, but that's just one solution that they came up with.
Well, that's a tale as old as time. In the old days, the mob used to take care of that for different businesses. They called them protection rackets. So if you had street toughs that were robbing your store or causing problems for your customers, the mob would come in and take care of it, and they would take care of it the way that the mob handles problems. The problem is now you owe the mob a monthly installment that only goes one way, and that's up. Otherwise, you become the problem.
Yeah, I know. It's not a perfect solution, definitely.
By the way, you know what I regard as modern day protection rackets?
No, what?
HOAs.
Oh, oh yeah, there we go. That's a can of worms.
I think I'd rather deal with the mob. Thank you for the call, sir. Let's go to Dan in Chino Hills. Dan, hello.
What's happening, John? You know what? Why don't you have people call in and see what their recommendations are to do with these crazy people? As a police officer, we do that all the time. We used to dump people off in other cities, but there's nothing you can really do with them.
Oh, yeah. And you know who else gets in trouble for this? Hospitals. The VA gets in trouble for this because someone who's in that hospital is homeless. They treated them. They need that bed for someone who's sick. And the homeless person goes, well, I don't have a home. And so they dump them off in downtown LA on Skid Row. Well, they got in trouble for doing that. So what are you supposed to do? Turn the hospital into a homeless shelter so you have no beds to treat sick people?
Well, that's what we did when I was doing police work. We always took them to Skid Row. Now with the cameras everywhere, you can't do it. So I was just wondering what people think we can do with them. They don't fit the 5150 criteria. They haven't really committed a crime. What do we do with them? Just throw them in the ocean? You know what?
Well, I don't know how much pushback you'd get from me. How about just taking them over to that internal affairs guy's house? Leave him right on the front porch. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And if you'd like to listen to a past episode of the program, Randy, that's easy to do.
We do 15 hours a week of this nonsense. And if you haven't caught all 15 hours, well, you got some catching up to do. Search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcast. That could be the Apple Podcast app, iHeart, Spotify. Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes. You can do a Google on the YouTube. You can get the free KABC app. You can get the free KSFO app. You can get the KMJ Now app. We're on that station Saturdays at noon. There are so many different ways to make sure you listen to this noon to 3 show wherever you are, thanks to the magic of audio streaming. And you can listen to this noon to 3 show whenever you want, thanks to the magic of podcasting.
All right, it's time to open up the California Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
We couldn't make this stuff up if we tried.
I said, hell no, baby boy. Let me get up on out of here.
It's the California Crime Blotter.
And Randy, this piece of Bay Area news went national.
A bunch of jackass teens on e-bikes tried to take over the Bay Bridge, but SFPD and the CHP said, hell no.
They finally put their foot down.
For more, here is Cron 4.
85 people were detained. A lot of people. After trying to take over and stop traffic on the Bay Bridge, they were all on bikes this weekend. The CHP and the SFPD worked together to stop the crowd in its tracks, and the whole thing was caught on camera.
Yeah, our Cron 4 Stephanie Rothman joins us now live in studio with the latest on this. Wow, quite a situation.
It's a lot, and it's scary for people on the road and law enforcement. They were standing firm tonight, saying that this is not child's play. These are dangerous tactics that could lead to mass injuries, but not this time.
Yeah, but kids are dumb.
And you put them on an e-bike, and they become a demon.
You see where you are right now? On the freeway.
On Saturday, 85 bicyclists were caught on SFPD drone cameras swerving in.
See, those drones are great. We should really invest in them in every city in the state.
85 bicyclists were caught on SFPD drone cameras swerving in and out of traffic in downtown San Francisco, catching the attention of concerned drivers and California Highway Patrol.
This isn't a group of cyclists that are just out for a Saturday ride. These are individuals who are intentionally, wreaking havoc in our communities.
They even have a phrase for it. The kids call it a ride out.
Well, and you know what would happen if a motorist didn't see one of them and ran him over and killed them? It would be that person's fault.
Well, for that situation to happen, you would have to imagine that someone was going faster than 5 miles an hour on the Bay Bridge.
That's true.
Riding at other vehicles, riding at pedestrians. And then when they get up on the freeway, they have no concerns with the fact that they are shutting down a major transportation route in the Bay Area.
Sergeant, have some respect. That bridge is named after Willie Brown.
People have places to go.
Sergeant Andrew Barclay with the CHP's Golden Gate Division says they had to act fast, deploying units to cut them off before they entered the bridge.
If they did take a ramp, then our biggest goal would be to stop them before they got to the top of that ramp. And that comes to the planning of having CHP units stationed to kind of leapfrog, for lack of a better term, to say, okay, they've passed this ramp, let's stage for the next ramp. They've passed this ramp, let's stage for the next one. So it is.
Boy, they really knew what they were doing here. And there's so much work they have to do to make sure that they intercept these jackasses on the right ramp.
Could you imagine if you were late for something because all this nonsense was going on?
It is.
I guarantee there are people listening right now that have been late for something because jackasses on e-bikes shut down traffic.
Imagine if you missed a flight.
It is an incredibly fluid process, a lot of moving parts, a lot of communication. But when that all goes right, you see the result.
In the past, law enforcement has been unprepared for unruly behavior. But this weekend, Sergeant Barclay credits learning from previous incidents, nearby patrol, and real-time monitoring for their success.
I'm telling you right now, the game changer here is that real-time information center, which operates like the Bat Cave, and the drones, which they can launch from all different kinds of corners of the city way faster than any police vehicle can get around San Francisco.
I wonder how often this sort of thing happens where we don't even hear about it because the cops just don't respond.
And if you're thinking of taking a joyride yourself,
Do you want to go to court? Do you want to be held accountable? And do you want to lose your bicycle? So
that's the new thing. We're taking away the bike.
Good.
Don't risk it. It's not worth it.
Well, CHP said 85 people were detained and cited for riding a bike on the freeway. They were all released, but the bikes have been taken away. In the studio, Stephanie Rothman, back to you.
There you go. The SFPD and the CHP shut down the attempted takeover of the Bay Bridge.
And Randy, it's time to reopen the California Crime Blotter.
It's happened yet again. It's Wild Wild West out here.
It's the California Crime Blotter with John
and Randy.
And on this one, I think I can speak on behalf of the late, great Tony Gwynn and say if he was aware of what happened, he'd be shaking his head.
Is that a baseball reference?
Yes.
Oh, we're doing that story. I don't know. I only did sports here for 6 years. There was a fight at the Padres game. Here's CBS 8.
All right, there's always a lot of excitement at the beginning of a baseball season, and sometimes that can go too far. Take a look at this.
What if Tony Gwynn was an Uber driver? Then we'd be doing Cut 23.
Take a look at this video shared with News 8 showing a brawl in the stands last Friday night that ultimately led to arrests.
And tonight,
I wonder if people are on edge because San Diego jacked up the parking at Petco so much.
Could be.
And tonight, I spoke with the Padres, San Diego police, and a witness about what went down at the ball game.
That sounds like fun.
And you pay a fortune to go there.
As the Padres took on the...
Well, I guess the thought process is, well, I paid $20 for this beer. I better do something stupid with it in my system.
As the Padres took on the Detroit Tigers Friday night, up in the stands at Petco Park, punches were thrown. It appears to have started with 2 people before others joined in. And
this is that mob mentality with the kids on the e-bikes, drunk people at a baseball game. One of them gets angry, they all get angry.
You know, you can take the Raiders out of California, but you can't take the Raider fans with them.
It appears to have started with 2 people before others joined in. And at one point, they slammed into other fans.
Then it turned in from 2 people to a group. And then within, 30 seconds, all of a sudden, they come flying down the stairs right into the woman that was on my right. I didn't know her, but
I don't think anyone was actually watching the game at this point.
I'd be watching the fight, too. That's more interesting.
Right into the woman that was on my...
If you're operating the Jumbotron, do you zoom in or do you got to turn away?
Oh, yeah, just turn it into a hockey game and show the fight.
Right into the woman that was on my right. I didn't know her, but I got to know her because she came flying into me, unfortunately.
That's the Padres
fan.
She
was safe, in case you're wondering.
That's the Padres fan who witnessed, recorded, and shared this video with me. He requested to remain anonymous. What?
You afraid of retaliation from other Padres fans?
Probably.
Maybe it's like with the police. You can't snitch on your fellow friars.
What led up to the fight, that's still unclear.
Alcohol.
Lots and lots of alcohol.
The only thing we heard that really drew our attention was we heard someone yell super loud, like, do something about it then. But
you know how there's never a fight on AA night at the baseball game. They may be grouchy, but they're not throwing fists.
The only thing we heard that really drew our attention was we heard someone yell super loud, like, do something about it then, but like really loud, like, do something. And then that's when all of a sudden we turn around and it's just, everybody, like, they went at it.
He tells me law.
This society is done, right?
Well, I guess a lot of people did something.
He tells me law enforcement soon arrived to break up the brawl. I spoke with the San Diego Police Department Monday afternoon, and they told me 2 people were arrested, cited, released, and ultimately expelled from the game.
No more Petco for you.
You know what I think causes a lot of these fights at these sporting events?
What's that?
Nobody sits in the seats that they're assigned to. And then if you show up to your seats and someone's in there and you go, hey, you're in my seat, about half the time they go, well, go sit somewhere else. I've seen that happen, not at Angel Stadium.
Well, there's a lot of room at that stadium.
When I go with friends to other parks, that is a very common confrontation.
At the Big A, you might have a whole row to yourself.
Hey, it's like flying on a holiday.
I reached out to the Padres, who tell me they have a zero-tolerance policy for behavior that disrupts the game day experience. They went on to say that anyone who violates their policy will be subject to immediate removal from the ballpark, loss of future ticket privileges, and face potential criminal prosecution.
Only 2 got that punishment. The rest of them, well, they didn't start it, but they finished it.
Well, this is why, if I'm not going to see a game in Orange County, I insist on getting there super early. Because if you get there super early, you're in your assigned seats, and no one's going to squat in your seats, so you don't have to have a confrontation.
The mood in our section was definitely like everyone wanted to get out of there, right? The Padres were losing.
They already wanted out.
Keep in mind, these are adults.
The whole crowd was just...
Dodger fans are a different breed, though. The Dodgers could be winning and they want to get out of there. I don't care how exciting this game is. That traffic's going to be hell.
The whole crowd was just, watched that whole fight, that whole brawl go down. So it kind of did take away the fun of the end of the game.
Meanwhile, STPD added that during the game, San Diego police officers work with Padres guest safety representatives and security to monitor the crowd and address issues like this as they arise.
There you go. That's what happened. The big old brawl at the Padres game.
Is this something new for San Diego? Because I've always known the Dodger Stadium is aggressive. When the Raiders were here, whether it be in Los Angeles or in Oakland, their fans were aggressive. But I've never thought of the Padre fans as being that aggressive.
San Diego's supposed to be like the ultimate expression of California laid back. But maybe that's why this made news, because this happens all the time at Dodger Stadium. But because it happens so often, it ain't newsworthy unless someone gets a concussion in the parking lot.
800-222-5222 is telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. We have some breaking news. President Trump has just weighed in on the insurance companies who were servicing the homeowners whose homes burned down in the fires in Pacific Palisades and Altadena. And he's telling the insurance companies that they're now on notice for not fulfilling their obligations in those contracts.
I'm very kind of sketched.
The Post reads, I have just met with various political representatives of the tragedy that took place in California concerning the burning of thousands of once beautiful homes. It was brought to my attention that the insurance companies, in particular State Farm, have been absolutely horrible to people that have been paying them large premiums for years, only to find that when tragedy struck, these horrendous companies were not there to help. I have asked the administrator of the U.S. EPA, Lee Zeldin, to give me a list of the companies who acted swiftly, courageously, and bravely in order to make their clients happy, and even more importantly, in order to fulfill their legal obligations. Likewise, I have asked to see those companies that were particularly bad. Oh, wait till you find out what the California Fair Plan is, buddy. The names of some surprise me. But in a world which we live in, nothing really surprises me. State Farm and others should get their act together and treat people fairly. The government is looking into this matter as we speak.
Good for him. Because whenever we talk to a fire victim, we hear the same story over and over and over again. The insurance companies are no help, and they will not give them what is owed to them. And the two worst ones that we keep hearing about from just about everyone is the Fair Plan and State Farm.
Do you remember when Karen Bass held that really pathetic press conference in front of the first house that was rebuilding in the Palisades, and they just had a couple of studs up. And she's like, look, progress is being made. We're so much faster than Paradise. And Channel 4 asks the homeowner, hey, how's this going? He says, well, this is about as far as I can go because State Farm won't pay out my claim.
I wonder if the federal government starts turning over stones in the Pacific Palisades in Altadena, and they're looking into the transgressions of State Farm, how long it takes before them to be hot on Ricardo Lara.
I'm very kind of sketchy.
Well, based on the investigations that we already know about Ricardo Lara, not only did he give State Farm an emergency rate increase when they haven't paid out those claims, but we now know that State Farm was aware of all the deals he was going to make when it comes to his insurance strategy, which in effect incentivized companies like State Farm to drop as many people as possible to create the conditions where they could get anything that they wanted.
And if those companies are not fulfilling their contractual obligations, and the California Department of Insurance exists to make sure that they do that, and he's not doing that, and then they're paying his way to all of these junkets all over the globe so he can live like Ellie Mae Clampett, that's not going to look good.
If anyone can get a hold of Lee Zeldin, they should have him meet Stephanie Sierra at ABC7 in the Bay so they can learn about all of Ricardo Lara's taxpayer-funded travel that he was doing instead of making sure that we had an insurance market in this state.
As you mentioned, that's already been broadcast on local television stations in California and certainly on this radio program, and I assume on others. At this point, one would assume that his transgressions are on the radar of the federal government and the FBI.
If he's not under any kind of investigation, I'd be shocked.
Well, we know that California won't do anything to him because Rob Bonta is about as crooked as they come, and he would be the one in charge of investigating Ricardo Lara. So either the feds do something about it or nothing happens. All right, Randy, what do you say we take a call?
Let's go to John in the East Bay. John, hello.
Well, you know, you've really given me a target-rich environment here. I was calling originally on the San Leandro police caper where they shipped the guy up to Oakland, and apparently the lieutenant was on the scene, took no action, and she got promoted and is now the deputy chief at the BART Police Department. The fights at the Oakland Raider games, I used to have some really choice seats behind the first base dugout, and I used to give them frequently to my son and his friends. Well, they preferred sitting in the bleachers, and he told me, Dad, we just go out there to watch the fights. They're fighting all night long. It's after hey, I'm paying thousands for these seats. He said, don't waste your money. We'll sit in the bleachers just to watch the fights. The San Leandro caper, when Jerry Brown was the mayor of Oakland, he got upset about all the prostitutes on MacArthur Boulevard in Oakland. And I had one of my buddies call me up about 3 weeks later, and he told me, this is 20 years after I left, he says, hey, drive down MacArthur Boulevard. You won't find a prostitute in sight. And I said, well, I'm not looking for any, but I'm curious, where the hell they go? And he said, basically, they harassed the Johns to the point that the prostitutes asked them what was going on, and they ran it by him and told them, San Francisco will not prosecute prostitution. And they all went to San Francisco.
It's a give and a take, that's for sure. Thank you for the call, sir.